Tonight, the provincial government is giving police more power to crack down on illegal drug use and trafficking. Also, as Mother Nature melts our mountains of snow, what do you need to do to keep your property safe from water? Plus, people involved in Regina's black music scene say it's grown over the years, but there is still a lot of work to do.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, February 25th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hi there, thanks for watching. The government of Saskatchewan has promised to make our communities safer from illegal drug use and trafficking, and now it's taking action on that promise with new measures. Aishwarya Duda explains.
Saskatchewan is making changes to legislation and adding new regulations to crack down on drug trafficking and people using fentanyl and meth. Here's what you need to know about what's proposed. Police will now have the authority to remove anyone using fentanyl or meth in a semi-public space, places like libraries, malls, restaurants, parks, and business entrances. And those people could be charged with trespassing. Saskatoon Police Chief Cam McBride says until now, officers needed permission.
Under the new legislation, we have the ability to go into a restaurant, and if we observe it, whether we were called there or simply arrived there and see it for ourselves, we can take that action based on what we see as police officers.
Police will also be able to revoke provincial licenses, think a driver's license, a business license, even hunting and fishing licenses, if someone is convicted of a drug-related crime. Another change would classify drug-related items like needles and pipes as weapons.
If somebody is exhibiting violent behavior but not overtly using a needle as a weapon, we would have the ability to seize that weapon or needle in order to prevent an attack or prevent, further violence.
Saskatoon Tribal Chief Mark Arcan says there is potential for people who are homeless to have more encounters with police, but he says if they aren't breaking the law, they don't have anything to worry about.
What we have to do is hold people accountable and transparent, because there's two different sides to this, right? Because we heard today about the users, right, that are using fentanyl. How do we get them treatment, right? So then we think about the people that are actually processing this stuff and trafficking and making a living off people when they're actually dying, right?
The province did say it's also considering involuntary addictions treatment centers like Alberta. In a statement, Prairie Harm Reduction says it is deeply concerned about the changes. Quote, "While we recognize the need for action in response to the overdose crisis, we firmly oppose punitive approaches that further marginalize people who use drugs." Other changes include fines of up to $1 million for using and selling drugs, giving offenders the chance to attend addictions programming instead of paying fines, and allowing the province to seize property gained from illegal activities. The government says it's planning to implement this as soon as possible. Some are just regulation changes, so that will be quicker, but others are amendments to legislation that could take some time. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Residents shouldn't have to make risky road trips for basic health care. That's the message from the mayor of Beauval. Last month, a nurse shortage forced the village's health center to reduce some services. Mayor Rick Laliberty is worried high transportation costs will stop people from seeking care, or that they would risk making a long drive in bad weather.
Even a simple blood test. Now you have to drive to Alacrosse, and in some cases this winter was the ice road. The ice road challenges with slush, the -40 below, or going to Meadow Lake. It's an hour and a half south, and there is no bus service.
The SHA says the nurse shortage only affects primary health care services at the center. It says there are no disruptions to mental health, addictions, and physician services. Canada's national holiday may be months away, but a Canada Day of sorts took place in Washington on Tuesday, a showcase meant to shore up support from allies. Katie Simpson reports.
This is what diplomatic engagement looks like. Canadian officials organizing a lunch in one of the busiest office buildings on Capitol Hill, inviting in staffers and American lawmakers, trying to share the anti-tariff message really at any level they can. Canada's Ambassador Kirsten Hillman saying that even though Donald Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on Canada, to go ahead with those tariffs on March 4th as planned, that there are some positive signs for the White House that the things Canada is doing to try to get out of those tariffs, the improvements to the border, the cracking down on the illegal drug trade, that it is starting to resonate in Washington.
So there's a lot that is being achieved, and we are getting positive feedback on that. That is what I'm hearing. And I get asked the question, will it be enough? There's one person who can answer that question, but what I do believe Canadians can feel confident is that we are taking these requests very seriously. We are delivering important results, and that is being well received.
Some lawmakers did stop by this event, but the engagement will actually take place beyond these walls right here. A number of different diplomats, as well as Canadian members of Parliament, they have a long list of meetings with influential Americans as they try to get that message across really at any level they can. Now, some lawmakers did stop by the lunch, and they were open to Canada's message, really welcoming it.
Got a couple little differences, but it's a sheet with a few wrinkles. So we're going to iron those out, and we're going to move forward, because Americans, at the end of the day, absolutely love Canadians, and I think vice versa.
We are forces against the evil around the world, and we've stood together for more than 7 decades that way, and I expect us to continue to.
Donald Trump has threatened 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods, as well as 10% tariffs on Canadian energy, unless those changes to the northern border are put in place to his liking. But there are more deadlines on the horizon. March 12th, possible steel and aluminum tariffs. Then there's possible auto tariffs, and then there's possible big picture trade irritant tariffs. There are so many different deadlines that the Trump administration is looking at. The bigger picture issue here is how do Canadian officials find a way to get out of the cycle of threat and deadline, threat and deadline. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Monday was the third anniversary of when Russia invaded Ukraine, and the White House appears to be further shifting its stance as Russia's war on Ukraine grinds into a fourth year. For the first time since Russia invaded, the U.S. is siding with Moscow at the United Nations. On Monday, the Security Council adopted a U.S.-drafted resolution that takes a neutral position on the conflict. It's a big change from previous positions. Earlier in the day, the U.S. voted against a European resolution that condemns Russia and calls on Moscow to pull out its troops. Canada is a backer of that resolution. Last week's deep freeze has finally let up, but it is presenting a whole host of new problems thanks to that melting snow and the water that comes with it. As Chris Edwards reports, a few simple steps can go a long way.
We're guaranteed that the snow is going to disappear and it's going to melt. It's going to turn into water. Where's that water going to go? Is it going to get into your house? That's a problem.
And it's a problem no homeowner wants. Water can do serious damage if left unchecked. And as the deep freeze has given way to what feels like a quick spring thaw, home inspectors like Jim Nichols are advising homeowners to be diligent about all that melting snow.
This is a good example of what it takes to take care of the snow, to remove the snow. You can see this person here, they removed the snow from the walkway. We'll go around to the side over here. The snow's been shoveled off. So they've gotten the snow away from the foundation is what we're shooting for.
The most important rule? Keep water away from your home's foundation. That means keeping your downspouts and eavesdrops clear, too. Keep snow away from window wells and exterior walls, and make sure ice dams haven't formed on your roof, which prevents snow from sliding off.
You're better off to not let the water come in. If the water does get in, if it gets through your foundation, it can cause some structural damage as well. So the dominoes start to fall pretty quickly if you're getting water into your foundation. So the idea, don't let the water in.
Once water is directed away from your home, it needs to get into the sewer system. That's where the city comes in.
We really encourage residents to get out and clear their storm drain if they can, if it's safe to do so. Don't pick up any debris or reach down and try and scrape it off, like there may be something under there that's not safe. If you really can't get it open, then that's when you would phone Service Regina.
This likely won't be the last big thaw this spring. It's only February. So if you're feeling swamped this week, there's always time to prep for the next round of warm days. Chris Edwards, CBC News, Regina.
Kinsman Park South in Regina is getting an upgrade. If the budget is approved, planned improvements include an accessible playground and spray pad, a year-round inclusive public washroom, and new seating areas. There could also be a possible toboggan hill and a skating area. The Regina Ski Club is also planning to improve its existing cross-country trail. The city is hosting an information session on March 1st all about it. You can find more details or share input at regina.ca/KPS. We'll be back with your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Black culture has had a huge impact on the history of music. In Regina, local DJs are saying that music is more than just entertainment. It's a way to build community. Jeffrey Tram has that story.
This space is known as The Lounge, a dance floor where music is a unifying force. Owner Alex Tanguay says this was always part of the vision. The club above Salam Restaurant has been open since 2013.
Now the community is getting bigger and bigger, so we're seeing a lot of different culture come to, celebrate their national holiday and exchange their culture with a different cultural people.
Salam isn't alone in shaping the city's black music scene. Stephen Gale, known as DJ Foodie, moved to Regina 15 years ago from Kingston, Jamaica. He says that when he first arrived in Regina, he was mainly hearing top 40, house music, and country. But now, he says people are embracing what he calls black music, dance, and culture.
Some people might take it aback because I like, what are they doing, and then some who are here who knows what's happening, they will be like cheering and whatnot, and then they will look and they will say, okay, this is cool, I can be down with that.
Kevin Rodney, better known as DJ Blends, was inspired by his father, who was a music promoter in Jamaica. He says DJs like himself and Foodie are trying to bring that excitement to Regina.
It's kind of something over the years that we built as like a whole team, as everybody that works. So, culture, we need it, man. I love it.
But beyond the beats, music is a way to keep connection to the motherland.
Massacre started playing. All the yardies, aka Jamaicans in the building, will hear that, and they will like, yes, boop, 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 boop. That's like our way of. It's like salute, because it's a big tune. That's how we do it.
It means a lot. It's like giving a place, home away from home, for everybody. They can come and you don't have to come with your friend. You can come by yourself. You can meet any kind of people.
Sean Forsyth, also known as DJ Classy, says this place gives him a sense of community.
Once we get all together, it's a vibe, man. It's something you just have to be there. I can't even explain it. It's just, we get it, we understand, it's our culture.
With a growing audience and increasing acceptance, Regina's DJs hope to continue to build up black spaces, one song at a time. Jeffrey Tram, CBC News, Regina.
The Academy Awards is reportedly considering a rule change. It comes after backlash that 2 Best Picture nominees used artificial intelligence. Magda Gabriel-Selassie shows us how it could change the Oscars race.
They do not want us here.
The Brutalist is up for Best Picture at the Oscars, and its star Adrian Brody nominated for Best Actor. But last month there was backlash after news spread the production used artificial intelligence.
They've just used like a very small percentage.
The film reportedly used re-speecher to tweak the lead actors' voices while they were speaking Hungarian. The tech was used in Oscar contender Emilia Perez 2, helping increase the vocal range of the musical's lead, Carla Sofia Gascon.
What you doing?
While this dialect coach is less worried about the limited use of AI in these films, He says its use in other areas raises concerns for the future.
We're seeing in parts of the industry like voiceover actors, commercial voice actors, gaming industry as well. AI is already taking over.
Concerns about AI were a driver of Hollywood's 2023 strikes, during which writers and actors negotiated some protections. But now the Academy behind the Oscars may be ready to weigh in too. It's considering changes requiring films to disclose if AI was used, according to Variety.
I do think that like directors, actors, studios, like it is a responsibility to them to give audiences kind of the whole picture.
We usually have a lot of traction.
But this post-production expert is reminding audiences that Hollywood movie magic has always included manipulation tools.
You're taking away pimples all the time. You're taking away, you're making people look younger, old. I mean, it's all cheating, right? Like it's cheating for a creative benefit.
But some of that creativity may call for more clarity come April. That's reportedly when the Academy is expected to roll out a new guideline for Oscar submissions. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
Another beauty day out there in Saskatoon, where it's currently 0 degrees. Riley Lachuk now with a look at your forecast.
Well, Sam, I thought I'd start with a look at our snowpack to start off because I know we've seen some warmer temperatures and that has led to a little bit of melting, but by and large, really through south and central, looking at still a pretty healthy snowpack, at least according to some of this modeling that we've seen here. Still looking at upwards of 20 centimeters of snow on the ground in some places, closer to 15 to 20 for the Regina area, but where we've seen some of those warmer temperatures, particularly through Swift Current, Maple Creek, getting close to that 10-degree mark through the day on Monday. We did see some of that melting down to about a couple centimeters left. And of course, quite a bit more the further north you go, even looking at 30 plus, close to 40 centimeters on the ground still. So fairly seasonal, fairly typical for this time of the year. We are looking at daytime highs, temperatures close to the freezing mark once again, getting up to 9 in Maple Creek, 1 degree in Regina, 2 in Saskatoon, and of course some much colder air where that jet stream kind of cuts through parts of northern Saskatchewan. And that jet stream will play a factor as we get into the coming days because we're looking at a bit of a parade of systems moving through, bringing some accumulating snow to northern sections, but even some of that could fall into south and central as we get later into the week here. So looking at satellite and radar imagery, looking at, I know, again, a pretty decent day. Clouds kind of ebbing and flowing throughout the day. A few little sprinkles, maybe a couple little flurries in there, but by and large, pretty calm across the south. That will change a little bit as we get into the day on Wednesday. So here comes system number 1 overnight into Wednesday morning. Even as far south of Saskatoon, I think there is a slight chance of maybe a couple of flurries first thing in the morning from this first round. But again, more of a feature for northern sections as we get through the day on Wednesday. That does quickly move out. Behind that, a mix of sun and clouds. As we get into Thursday, here comes round 2. This one I think has a better chance of maybe giving us a few showers through later part of Thursday into the overnight hours Friday for places like Saskatoon and along that Highway 16 corridor. So timing this out to later afternoon on Thursday, looking at some of those higher accumulations again in northern parts. 5 to 10 centimeters not out of the question, but for southern sections where we've seen some of the melting happening today and some of those clearer skies, a chance into the overnight hours, into the morning on Wednesday that we could see some patchy fog. I don't mean to say this is exactly where we'll see fog through the morning hours, but certainly could see some patchy fog in some of the open areas through the morning hours. So Wednesday up to +2 in Regina, +4 for Thursday. Dipping closer to freezing by the time we get to the weekend. A pretty similar story into Saskatoon, looking at +3 on the way for Wednesday, and Sam, temperatures staying pretty close to the freezing mark right into next week.
Every year around this time, thousands of visitors show up at the beach in eastern India for the annual nesting for the endangered olive ridley sea turtles. This location is seeing a record number of them this year, with more than 700,000. The olive ridley turtles are named after their heart-shaped olive green shell, and each female lays more than 100 eggs in a hole, and they hatch 50 days later. We'll be back after the break. It's one of the greatest aviation mysteries of all time, the sudden disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. Officials announced on Tuesday there's a fresh search for where the aircraft, which disappeared more than a decade ago. Malaysia's transport minister says a seabed exploration company is resuming the hunt for the missing plane. The Boeing 777 was carrying 239 people when it disappeared while en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing in March of 2014. The plane's never been found, but some debris has washed up over the years. Back in December, the Malaysian government agreed to launch a new search. Here's something truly out of this world. Astronomers say they've spotted a dazzling light show from the Milky Way's black hole. The activity was observed using the James Webb Space Telescope. Researchers say they saw a rapid-fire display that included short flashes and long, bright flares of light on a daily basis. They say the flares were unleashed by a swirling disk of hot gas and dust. It's believed the flares are coming from the inner edge of the disk, just beyond the black hole's horizon. These observations could explain how black holes behave and the way they feed on their surroundings.
Here's a look at some of your overnight temperatures as we head into Wednesday morning, looking at the risk of some patchy fog, particularly through southern sections where we've seen some of that melting and some of those warmer temperatures. So we're looking at low temperatures in the Parkland region around -6 into eastern sections overnight, closer to -9, -10 into Regina, -7 in Saskatoon, and still places like Maple Creek barely dipping below the freezing mark as we get through the overnight hours, where we've seen some of that warmest air in the province. Into northern sections, you can really see again where the jet stream cuts through the province. -23 in Stony Rapids, La Ronge looking at -7. Again, this is where we have some of that snow falling as we head into the morning hours on Wednesday. This is round one of what will be a bit of a parade of systems as we get through the week into the weekend, looking at -3 in Pelican Narrows by the time we get to the afternoon hours tomorrow. Some of that snow, a slight chance in Saskatoon first thing, but then we clear out and we're back to a mix of sun and clouds again tomorrow, and Sam, temperatures staying above seasonal for this time of the year, above the freezing mark for the most part, and well above seasonal in places like Maple Creek once again into your Wednesday.
Thanks, Riley. And that is it from us. For more news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. And of course, you can always download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks for watching.